Thank you. And here with Tony Mulvey doing the carrier update today. It's earnings season. You've been covering quite a bit. You wrote about C.H. Robinson a couple days ago. Listening to USA Truck, TFI came out, Schneider came out. Very strong earnings across the board. What does that tell you?
It tells me that the first quarter of the market was hot. And if you kind of look at everything that tells us, it really was, right? I mean, you look at where we were in Q4. We've got our outbound tender volume index here. Going back over the past year, you look in basically from early March all the way back through January, we're at Q4-like numbers, right? I mean, there's really no drop-off from Q4 to Q1.
No, I mean, look at 2022 right there. The blue is this year compared to last year, which is in yellow. And then 2019 and 2018. 2018's in orange, 2019's in green down there. So still elevated levels, but if you look at the blue, at the beginning of 2022, no real drop-off. Very strong January, February, and then, of course, we hit March, and the market turns.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of, like, it was even the first week in March, right? The first week in March was pretty good. And then it kind of, that March 6th to like March 8th date was really where we saw that decline really start to happen. And obviously we've dropped down. We're now below, like even with this little uptick in the past week following the Easter holiday, if you look back, we're still below 3 major holiday levels, right? And if you think about a holiday in terms of volume, it's essentially a 0 day, right? I mean, it's a 7-day moving average, so if you add in a holiday where basically nothing's tendered out because these shippers are closed, you end up with these big dips, right? And you see it every single year. It doesn't matter if the market's hot or cold, you see the big dip. Well, now we really are there naturally.
Yes.
Right? So I think you have to remember that this index does include those accepted or rejected tenders. So we'll pull up our outbound tender rejection index here in the next chart, and it'll kind of show what we're seeing on the capacity side of the market.
So on the next chart, the OTRI, there we go.
There he comes.
There we go. And blue is this year right here. The green is last year, 2021. I think the purple is 2018, the orange is 2019, but let's look at the blue and the green right here.
Yeah.
So very strong market. We all know 2021, we were sitting at this time 24.5% on OTRI. 1 out of every 4 loads are getting rejected. And we were kind of in that same area in January and February as well. We're about 20%-ish on a national average. And then March happens, and here at the end of April, the last business day of April, the last day of the business month, 8.82%.
Yeah, I mean, it's really remarkable. I mean, if you draw a line back all the way across mid-June 2020, right, when the market was really starting to ramp up, was the last time we saw levels like this. So it's really, we've had basically 2 years of these rejection rates at 20-ish%, right around that 20% mark. So you've now grown accustomed to that as normal, and we've seen this just dramatic loosening. I mean, typically in a traditional market, pre-pandemic, right, we would have said 8.2, the market's really tight. But we've added so much capacity, and we were so high that we've seen just this dramatic decline.
Yeah, if you look at 2019, they're in the purple, 4.26%. That was the last real freight recession, right? And that's when bankruptcies started happening. And 2019, a year of no volatility whatsoever. You have 2020, which this is the height of the lockdowns. You know, April of 2020, and you have 2.59%, which is about as low as we can probably get on tender rejections. But 2019, the last real freight recession that lasted, 4.26%. We're at 8.82%, and seems like we're headed.
Yeah, I mean, there's no signs of slowing down, right? I mean, we saw a little level off right around Easter. I mean, not much. When I say a little, I mean, we were talking a couple days of just flattening, and then it's just been straight down from there. And if you look at spot rates, they followed the same trend. I mean, almost perfectly. You lay them over top of each other, and it's almost identical.
It is almost identical. We're going to check out a couple lanes when we come back for the next carrier update here in a few minutes. And we're going to see the 6-month rates coming out of LA to Chicago and Dallas. And then we'll look at the reefer market a little bit later on in the show. But it is It's an interesting time to be in freight.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, you start to kind of hear it in these earnings calls. You hear people talking about softening market conditions. You don't hear it from the big carriers, which really isn't a surprise. Like they're not going, because their spot exposure is a lot less than these smaller carriers. And we're talking about this rejection, we're talking about the spot market activity, right? It kind of leads that, or shows what's happening in the spot market.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of that, and that's where it's going to hurt.
Paper rates that you might have in agreement, you know, those are going to shift over. But this wraps it up for our first carrier update. We'll throw it back over to Kaylee and Sydney for a John Kingston interview, I think.